When it comes to indie publishers, you would be hard pressed to find a name bigger than Devolver Digital, who have a knack for discovering some of the most creatively intriguing indie titles out there. My first experience with Devolver was through the testosterone filled Broforce, which quickly enthralled me right from the bat. I quickly started paying attention to Devolver's name, and they sure as hell kept the titles coming. Enter the Gungeon, Hotful Boyfriend, Absolver, Minute, then a bunch more that I just never got the time to play. There are just so many that they release in a singular year. But Devolver is such a creative company that I can't help but keep my eye on them, especially when they do things like this.
Savvy, forward-thinking consumers like yourself should find their way to DevolverBootleg.com, which wholly unironically forwards to a Steam page for Devolver Bootleg.
Introducing Enter the Gungeon, House of the Gundead.
Its creativity never ceases to amaze me, and especially so with their latest release. A 2D platforming acrobatic shooter that puts you behind the mask of a highly skilled hitman inspired to tear through hundreds of enemy fodder by an ever-present banana named Pedro. My Friend Pedro embraces its odd premise in the absolutely best way possible by complementing it with equally insane gameplay. Pedro is a game that I almost let slip past my radar, to be honest. I forgot it was releasing last week and I almost let it slip by. But I'm glad I didn't, because once again Devolver was able to find a developer who had something truly intriguing on their hands. Before I actually sat down to play Pedro, I knew very little about it. I had seen an initial trailer that showcased the acrobatic movement alongside gunplay, but I had very little knowledge of any of the other mechanics that inhabited the game. As far as I knew, it was a simple 2D platformer that gave you opportunities to utilize various weaponry through the roughly 5-hour playtime. Now, when I say roughly 5-hour playtime, that was just me doing one singular run through the campaign on a normal difficulty. There are 2 other difficulties you could choose to go through, increasing difficulties. However, I never felt that was necessary. And you could also go through each level again in order to get that S plus ranking, which I was only able to receive once because honestly I'm not that fantastic at the game. But I never felt it necessary to try to pad my runtime because the sheer joy I received from the singular playthrough was enough of a reason to justify the purchase. The core reason to play Pedro is not for some gripping overarching narrative or for incredibly nuanced and thought-provoking characters. Because let's get this out of the way right now. There is none of that to be found within this game. There is a core narrative that gets you from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, but you would be hard pressed to attempt to summarize it in more than a singular sentence. And that sentence goes as follows: there are bad people doing bad things and you need to kill them. Which is more than a satisfactory story, because that means it takes minimal time from actually being in control of the game. And that's when the game is at its absolute peak, is when you as a player are in control of every singular movement you make. I would have been content with a run-of-the-mill shooter platformer with an acrobatic flair, yet the developers of Dead Toast Entertainment add multiple mechanics that add even more style to your platforming. The core mechanics are the shooting, which for the most part feel incredibly intuitive, yet at times I did notice the aim assist rearing its ugly head, occasionally causing my shooting to feel unnatural to the point where I found it 100% necessary to turn the aim assist as low as I possibly could in order to give myself the best experience that I could. The way shooting is implemented here is that the left Joy-Con stick is utilized for movement and the right Joy-Con stick controls the direction in which your character is facing, therefore also being in charge of where you are aiming your bullets. This proves to be an incredibly intuitive way of shooting while simultaneously navigating through the various obstacles that the level design often throws at you. Yet the gunplay isn't the only major mechanic at play here. If you're anything like me, you will find yourself constantly utilizing the slow motion mechanic that is triggered by pushing in the left Joy-Con stick. This mode is a limited use mechanic, yet if you are effectively using it, you will never find yourself running out of it due to being constantly refilled as long as you were continually landing your shots on an enemy of some sort. Slow motion adds an extra layer of style and strategy, causing your character to do backflips and giving you a little bit of an advantage over enemies with a little extra time to perfectly aim your shots. I never got tired of this mechanic and soon discovered something that made it even more satisfying. When you were eventually able to unlock the ability to dual wield, holding the left trigger causes a reticle to lock onto a singular enemy, leaving you free to move your controllable reticle onto a secondary enemy, resulting in a dual kill that feels incredibly satisfying, especially when paired with a slow motion. Utilizing these mechanics in tandem with the acrobatic flow of the movement the game offers is probably the most fun I have experienced with a shooter this year. The pure joy that the game is able to elicit while playing is second to none in anything that I have experienced this year for sure. It's unfiltered entertainment at its finest. Surprisingly, the entertainment never slows down due to the ever-increasing mechanics that are added level by level. You are constantly introduced to new environmental mechanics, from zip lines to switches, all of which are able to completely hold up their own increasingly creative levels all on their own. However, the true platforming magic is when these mechanics are utilized together to create levels that not only require precision shooting, but the ability to manipulate the free-flowing movement of your character on a dime. I am a true sucker for games that really focus on creating tight and entertaining gameplay above anything else. Now, the developers could have easily taken this wacky premise of a man murdering people on the whim of a floating banana and let the game be held up by the sheer insanity of that concept by going balls to the walls with it. Yet, these elements are only included to complement the insanity of the gameplay. Segments of the game are designed to be weird and satirical of certain groups of people, yet these elements never detract from the game and only serve as opportunities to differentiate the environments in order to once again keep things consistently entertaining. There is something to be said for the game's length. While a lot of people might find the shorter runtime off-putting, I feel there is an art in understanding when less is more. Another 5 or 8 hours of gameplay might be stretching the gameplay's ability to keep one engaged to the thinnest it can go. The sheer amount of ideas that Dead Toast was able to pack into this title is staggering, and who knows, maybe they are fully capable of crafting another 8-hour experience. But I would be incredibly unfair to expect the developers to top the pure joy of kicking up a frying pan and ricocheting bullets off of it into the back of a dude's skull. Yet sometimes it does take more than one bullet to the skull to do the job. In fact, especially towards the end of the game, enemies tend to suck up the bullets, really throwing off the flow of the combat. This is one of the few negatives I really have about the game. The other being that the fact that, other than pistols, your guns have limited pools of ammo. And considering this is a game that fully relies on being that guns blazing fantasy, it really feels off-putting and, dare I say, limiting that I cannot consistently utilize the weapons that I see fit to use at any given moment. Maybe it was some misguided attempt at realism. Yet, considering the abundance of reality-bending ideas in place here, it seems odd that this was one of those concepts kept in place, especially when it often limits the player's options in such an overbearing way. Pedro is yet just one more testament to Devolver Digital's ability to find developers who have a unique vision and are able to truly bring them to life in the most entertaining ways possible. The game serves as an incredible experience for platforming fans, one that feels incredibly fresh and polished and only occasionally yields to anything that would take away from the core experience of the game. It's almost weird that this game almost passed by my radar. I hadn't even realized it was releasing, and the post-launch buzz about this game has been minimal at most. I suppose that is to be expected for a game that's only available on the Switch and PC, but hopefully over time the game will gain a little more traction, and one that will match Devolver greats, such as Hotline Miami and Enter the Gungeon. While its shorter runtime will definitely be a deterrent to most people looking to buy this game, I am of the opinion that it is fully worth the $20 asking price, though there would be no inherent harm in waiting for an eventual sale. So that was My Friend Pedro. I really enjoyed that game, and I hope you enjoyed hearing me just gush about it. I hope I did a fantastic job on that. I always try to, but you know what? Anything I can improve, let me know in the comments. I got a better lighting setup, so now I finally have lighting. It's just blinded me, so I can't see anything at the moment. I need to fix that. But I hope to be doing something sometime soon. I might be doing Crash Team Racing next. I'm not sure about that. But I would also like to do titles that the few of you who are actually watching these want me to do. So if you have something you want me to do, let me know in the comments. Maybe a game, a movie, a topic. Let me know so I can make content that really the few of you who are watching enjoy. I know there's a total of 3 or 4 of you. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate you guys watching. I just wanted to shout out to my friend Abraham who made this. He did a fantastic job making this. I just wanted to highlight that. I don't think I've told him about how fantastic of a job he's done yet, but this was fantastic. Thank you very much, Abraham. I appreciate you. But yeah, guys, if you have any ideas for me, let me know in the comments. Share, subscribe, like the video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic day. Thank you very much.